Hi, ladies. Today, I'm talking about a super important, timely method, a skill that I think every woman should have in their toolbox, and that is how to transmute male sexual energy and turn that energy into something that profits you and benefits you. So, this is where we're getting into real subversive territory, because we have been conditioned to view ourselves as the object of male sexual attention and kind of a receptacle for it. And being a receiver is not the same as being a receptacle. That's one thing I really want people to understand. Also, men can give and they can dump. So, a more conscious, more elevated man is going to be a giver. A less conscious man is going to be a dumper. So, when you have a sexual encounter, or any encounter, that man, instead of giving to you, he'll be dumping things on you. Now, I want to make it really clear. I'm talking about energetics. I'm getting into the metaphysical side of things. However, even if you think that's all woo-woo, you don't believe in that at all, you can take this advice face value, right? If you're in a really toxic entanglement with a toxic man, he will dump his problems on you. You'll walk away from that relationship with emotional baggage and trauma that he's offloaded onto you, that kind of hurt people shtick, right? Because he's gone through things in his life that he hasn't processed. He treats you poorly, and now you have this psychological baggage, or you have, maybe he gives you an STI, or whatever the case may be, right? You don't have to believe in hippie stuff to see some men can dump, right? Rather than giving. So, going into transmuting sexual energy, I want to tell you a story of something that happened yesterday. And this was so potent and so funny to me that I was like, oh, I gotta get on here and tell the ladies about this. So this is for the ladies. If you're a man, this is not for you. You certainly can listen. Maybe this will teach you to be a little bit more careful and disciplined with your sexual energy, but probably not. But anyways, so yesterday I was at the mall, and I was looking cute, but kind of basic. Like, I didn't pull out all the stops, but I was wearing a cute dress and had some light makeup on and whatever. And so as I'm walking around inside this, I think it was Home Goods, this man comes up to me, introduces himself, asks for my number. We chat for a couple minutes. The original interaction was actually really pleasant, very nice. Then I'm leaving. I'm walking to my car. A different man comes up to me. I'm on the phone with my mom at this point because my mom had called me. A different man comes up to me and asks me for my number while I'm on the phone with my mom. And I just was kind of like taken aback, I guess, because someone else had just asked me out. And also, I'm on the phone. I clearly look like I'm occupied, and I just wasn't expecting for someone to try to come up and talk to me. So the first man I did give my number to. The second man, I just said like, oh, no thanks. And this man looked crestfallen, which I felt bad about. And then once I got to my car, I was sitting there after I got off the phone with my mom, thinking to myself, why do I feel bad about this? Because, I'm just here living my life. I didn't ask for this person to come into my sphere and try to sell me something or give me something. So And I wasn't mean, I wasn't cruel, I was very kind, but blunt. And I probably would have been less blunt if I had not been sort of taken off guard. But anyways, I got over that really quickly. I was like, all right, look, listen, girl, you're not going to feel guilty for turning someone down, especially someone that just enters your sphere and is trying to interact with you that is a stranger and you're just living your life, right? We're not going to feel guilty about that. It's 2025. We're not doing that. So anyways, then I go home, and I want to also mention I've been working on this project over the last few days, and I had made some good progress. It was for an online course, and I had made all my slides and gotten all my images and had all my bullet points of things I wanted to talk about, but I hadn't actually sat down and filmed anything, and I kept hitting this block when it came to filming it. So then I get home, and the first man, texts me, and when we had first been speaking, he had asked me, like, oh, do you want to go out, go to a coffee shop, grab a whatever, and I know how people feel about coffee shop dates, right? That's a whole other conversation for a different time. But when he texted me, he asked me if I smoke marijuana, and I told him, no, I don't smoke. And then he asked if I wanted to come over to his house and watch Netflix. And I'm thinking to myself, okay, we've gone on 0 dates. We just met, literally just met that day. And you're asking me to come over to your, even just regardless what you think about sexual relationships and how healthy it is to escalate things quickly or not, there's a boldness and an entitlement to that, and also the safety aspect as well, right? Like, I've never met you before. You just approached me like an hour ago. What are you talking about? So anyways, I just ignore it. I ignore the comment. And he texts me back like 20 minutes later. Hello? ? These men are bold, ladies. They're bold. And so anyways, if this had happened to me a few years ago, I would have been so offended. I would have thought, who do you think you are? Who do you think I am? That you're going to try to get me to sleep with you the same day you meet me without going on a date, without, any sort of courtship process, anything. It would have hurt my feelings a lot. And I think the initial conversation being really positive and then it quickly becoming negative would have given me this emotional whiplash. But I've been working on myself and my emotions for years, and I've made really good progress in terms of self-mastery. Of course, it's a daily journey, but because I'm coming from more of a place of sovereignty and self-mastery and self-accountability with a sprinkling of stoicism in there, now that kind of stuff might offend me for like 30 seconds and then I get over it. And I've had enough positive experiences with men to not take the bad ones personally. But what I did was I let those encounters, and keep in mind, all we had were conversations. I never touched these men. We never slept together. We never even shook hands. There's no physical whatever. But they're still projecting sexual energy and interest towards me. So instead of getting offended that this man was really emboldened and entitled and trying to essentially get access without any courtship process, which shows that he doesn't really value me, instead of getting offended by that and getting emotionally amped up, I just decided to feel good, and I did feel good, about the interest. I'm thinking, oh, I still got it. I look good. I'm at the mall, just living my life, not even, pulling out all the stops, just pulling out a couple of stops. And I'm having, a couple different people approach me, like, this is so fun, this is so cute, and I let it gas me up. And blow up my confidence. And guess what? Guess what, ladies? I was able to film the course, part of the course that I kept having a block towards. It's like their sexual energy, I was able to take that, ride it, and it just skyrocketed me forward, basically. So I want you to think of male sexual energy as kind of like, let's say you're working on a project and you have all these raw ingredients, but you're still missing that oomph or that motivation or structure, whatever the case may be. You got to remember, whenever you're creating anything, you need both masculine and feminine energy to create anything. It doesn't matter if it's a baby, if it is a digital product, if it is a craft, whatever. You need the creativity and the inspiration and the dynamism and the flow. You also need a certain amount of structure and discipline and infrastructure and tools and all of that side, right? So any active creation needs both masculine and feminine energy. Now, even feminine women have some masculine energy, because every person has some of both. Of course, you're skewing far more in one direction than another usually, but feminine women do have some masculine energy. However, the world that we live in, if you live in Western Europe or you live in North America, women are expected to operate in masculine energy, especially in their careers and in running their households, which is kind of funny because you think running a household's a feminine thing, but the way that we do it in the West is very masculinized, which is, again, kind of funny. It's like you're raising kids and you're running a household, but how can you be masculine while doing that? Well, you can. But anyways, our culture kind of pushes us in a way to overusing our masculine energy. So when it's time for us to create anything for ourselves, our finite supply of masculine energy that we can just source within ourselves is depleted. And we don't have any masculine energy left to support our feminine energy in creating the thing that we want to create. So, for me, this was like I had a box mix of brownies and I had all the dry ingredients. And then when these men were projecting the sexual energy at me, that's like the egg. The egg gives the moisture, the egg gives the binding. It binds all the dry ingredients, right? So it transforms all these dry ingredients. And you go from having just a mix to your batter, and then you can bake it. So never be afraid of men's lust. This is a lesson that I've learned over time. And it's kind of a paradigm shift, right? Because especially if you grew up in a religious household, or if you've been sexualized a lot, if you've been on the receiving end of objectification, it's really a hard thing for me to sit here and tell you, don't be afraid of men's lust, right? Because lust can destroy. Lust is a very powerful thing. Male sexual energy, not all male sexual energy is lust. That's another thing people don't understand. There's sexual energy that is desire, and there's sexual energy that is lust. In my definition, lust has this layer of consumption, objectification, greed, gluttony, exploitation, and desire is a more pure version of it, right? But here's the thing. Male sexual energy, whether it's that pure desire or whether it is a consumptive, exploitative lust, it's not the purest form of male energy, but it's the most obvious form of male life force energy. There's other kinds, obviously, but it's the most obvious and for a lot of women the most easily accessible source of male energy. So it's kind of like a double-edged sword. If you know how to harness it when it's coming at you, you can ride that energy and coast on it to power through your goals. So, like I said, even if you're not woo-woo at all, you can see how I'm having these interactions with these men. It's gassing me up. It's giving me extra confidence. And that confidence is enabling me to sit down and finish this project with oomph and with gusto and with a fire because I'm gassed up. So you don't have to believe in the energetics behind this at all or the metaphysics of this. You can just see how it works. So anyways, I hope that this has been an edifying conversation. Never look at yourself like a victim, because any negative experience or unwanted energy, even though we may not enjoy it coming to us, you can always take that, transmute it, alchemize it, and turn it into something amazing that you love. So that's it for now, but I will catch you on the flip side.